Good afternoon, honorable members. Let's first observe a moment for silent prayer or meditation. Thank you. Please be seated. The Secretary will read the order.
Debate on vote number 34, Mineral and Petroleum Resources Appropriation Bill.
Thank you. I now recognize the Minister of Mineral Resources, Mineral and Petroleum Resources.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson, Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Tutuza, not Tutuza, Didiza, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Mineral and Petroleum Resources, Honorable Mahlaule, Deputy Minister of the Mineral and Petroleum Resources, Ms. Phumzile Mgcina, honorable members in the House, distinguished guests and members of the media. We are mandated as a department to promote and advance mineral and petroleum sectors so that they can make meaningful contribution to South African drive for inclusive economic growth and job creation, reducing poverty and tackle high cost of living. The reconfiguration of the department provides us with an opportunity to streamline and create a regulatory environment that will grow both these sectors with greater focus on investment promotion and harmonization of legislation. And more important in that regard is the question of putting petroleum in its rightful place. Petroleum is a source of 60% of energy in the world, but when you talk about it, you always take a second fiddle to renewables and other sources of energy. It is an important sector. We must put it in its rightful place. In keeping with the National Development Plan, Vision 2030, the Medium-Term Development Plan and the government objectives of reindustrialization, the Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources has anchored its strategy around the priority areas, that is, promote investment in mining and petroleum sector. It is the acceleration of transformation of the mining and petroleum sector ensure that historically disadvantaged South Africans participate in the economy. To accelerate the transformation and to ensure environmental sustainability, that means we integrate economics and ecology. It is not economics versus ecology or ecology versus economy. It is integration of the two. There must be development for us to sustain ecology. To promote regional integration and cooperation in mining and petroleum sectors, strengthen institutional capacity and governance by enhancing organizational efficiencies, including utilization of technology to modernize and bring about responsiveness, meaning that we should not just listen to issues, we must be responsive to issues, make things happen. Honorable members, it is therefore an honor for tabling Budget 34 of the reconfigured DMPR. Although constrained due to prevailing economic hardships, this budget is geared towards enabling the department to efficiently regulate mining and petroleum sector for transformation, inclusive growth and development, and ensure that South African derive sustainable benefit from the country's natural resources. Honorable members, we are tabling a budget amidst challenging landscape marked by escalating trade tensions, rapidly evolving geopolitical relations. It is not worth even mentioning them. Whether you talk about Israel-Gaza conflict, Israel Iran, you talk about Russia, Ukraine, all those impact directly on what we do, particularly in our sector. Currently, apart from the prices of minerals that dominate South African mining export basket, they remain depressed except for gold. So all these minerals, such as coal, platinum, group metals, manganese, and chrome, have been excluded from the tariffs imposed by the US. Those minerals are excluded from the tariffs, but the fact that the inclusion of diamonds and iron ore in the 30% reciprocal tariffs on imports from South Africa threatens our export earnings and has the potential to damage the global economic growth. And I want to remind the House that when it comes to diamonds, there is more challenge than just tariffs. There is also a challenge of lab-grown diamonds trying to take away the demand of natural diamonds. So the responsibility of us in this House is to ensure that we promote diamonds against those headwinds. Despite the challenging global environment, mining gross value added rebounded by 0.3% in 2024, from 0.5% decline in 2023. Effectively, in rand terms, 2024 saw mining sector contributing 451 billion rand to the GDP, thus sustaining the 6% total contribution to the GDP. In the same period, mining industry export earnings totaled 674 billion, comprised of 586.4 billion from primary minerals and 87.5 billion from processed minerals, representing a decrease of 0.6% from 678 billion in 2023. In addition, the mining sector employed 484,837 mine workers in 2024, making a significant decrease of 0.9% from 489,022 in the previous year. It is worth noting that the most of job losses were from the PGM sector, which was affected by depressed prices and therefore reduced capacity to employ the number. It's not a function of reduced productivity. It's a function of depressed prices. Now, for its part, the department continues to review and strengthen the mining and petroleum regulatory framework to improve business environment and so to enable new greater investments in these sectors. The Mineral Resource Development Bill is such a review. The question of the Petroleum Products Act is another attention-seeking intervention. And most important is that this act allows us to establish petroleum as an economic sector, not as an appendage of mining. Therefore, this bill is important. It makes a lot of provisions. I'm not going to get into details. The Upstream Mineral Resources Development Act by the President in October last year had not only created legislation that is investor-friendly for the oil and gas sector, but has also ensured that there is a dedicated retail framework for the sector, given the potential for the contribution. I will throw at all of us the fact that our breakthrough in oil and gas will increase South African economic trajectory from a low growth trajectory to a high growth trajectory. I can assure you, if we can make a breakthrough there, that talks to the challenges of meeting NGOs that are foreign funded, mainly by American institutions, to block development. If we can find a way of dealing with that issue, we will make progress in the oil and gas. And that progress is essential for South African economy because historically we are a mining jurisdiction. The other growth point at this point in time is oil and gas. We can put other issues there. Mine Health and Safety Amendment Bill has been tabled to Parliament, and your urgent consideration and adoption of this bill and not only support the strides made by the industry in improving the health and safety. I'm sure the DM will give details of the improvement in health and safety. We have set a new record of the number of fatalities in the sector. We must pay attention to that issue. It's not a gift, it's not luck, it's a function of cooperation between employers, workers, and government. Now, honorable members, sustainability of the South mining industry depends on strong pipeline of new mineral discoveries. So Junior Mining Exploration Fund is a targeted intervention in this regard. It is established above 200 million rand contribution by the state, the National Treasury, and 200 billion rand contribution by the IDC. Though the implementation of integrated multidisciplinary mapping program, through that program, the Council for Geoscience expanded offshore mapping coverage in South Africa at a scale that is commensurate with the need to exploration community from below 5% to over 17%. That is talking about the multidisciplinary mapping of geological mapping in the ocean. It has improved from under 5% to over 17%. Before I go into details in all the other aspects, let me go to the financial side of the budget before my time is up, then come back and finish the other issues. We have been given 2.86 billion rand as a department for 2025-26, quite a tight budget. And that budget is mainly allocated to entities. 134.7 million is for rehabilitation of derelict and ownerless mines implemented by MINDEC. 22.4 million is for mine rehabilitation research project implemented by Council for Geoscience. 32.3 million is allocated to CGS for the mine water ingress project. 46.1 million is allocated to Petroleum Agency South Africa for implementation of Shell Gas project. So the Shell Gas project is not off the radar. All we are waiting for are regulations. Once the Minister of Forestry, Fishery and Environment gave us the regulation, we will lift the moratorium on shale gas. So shale gas will be a game changer once we start exploring it. Before I conclude, I'm coming close to the end of my time, let me emphasize the fact that in contrast to the skeptic view, the South African mining industry is a sunset industry. We are convinced after MINDEC has done a study on the state of mining in the country, studied 21 minerals, and came a state of each mineral there, that this industry continues to be a sunrise industry. And MINDEC has also released a study on critical minerals, on which the strategy for critical minerals is based. And that strategy is going to guide us. We're going to hand it over to the continent, hope that the continent will support it and it become a continental strategy. And one of the issues that come out of that is that mining is actually, all the minerals are strategic depending on where you are. That's why there is no universal definition of what critical minerals are. It depends on where. If you go to the US, it's different, Australia is different, EU is different, because the criticality of minerals is a function of where you are. Now, in our case, we have identified 5 minerals as key. That is platinum, manganese, iron ore, coal, and chrome. And all those minerals, we see them as actually very strategic and leading the pack in South Africa. Now, the local beneficiation is another area of focus for us, because beneficiation is value addition, and we are insisting that it should be close to the point of production, and therefore change our approach from pit to port to a situation where we add value close to the point of production. The mining licensing system, cadastral system, is one of the disappointing areas of us. We wanted it to kick off in July. In June, there's been a proposal to extend that time by 3 months, but there's hard work on ensuring that it works. So we're quite patient about it, but it is being worked. And the people who are working on it have been working on this for all
Thank you,
the time.
Honorable Minister. Unless you want to eat into your 5 minutes reserved for the end.
Let me thank some people before I sit down. Okay, even if you take from the 5 minutes. Let me thank the department staff. Let me thank the portfolio committee for the support it has given to us. Let me thank entities in our department, and also thank my wife and my family. Now, that is the problem of working with people who are not married. They think that to thank your wife is something else. People who do not know that to be married is an honor will always make this noise when we thank our wives and our families. Thank you very much for the support. I'm quite happy with that support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A minute, yes. I've robbed you of a minute now. Honorable Maglaule.
No, thank you very much, House Chair, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, and honorable members. This budget vote comes when the world's processing and consumption of key mineral resources is more prevalent, and the question of a sustainable use of our resources is more central than ever before. The budget vote is tabled at an important juncture in our nation's history as we strive to build a transformed and sustainable mineral and petroleum sector. We are also celebrating the 70th anniversary of the Freedom Charter. As the ANC, the Freedom Charter represents a foundational document highlighting our vision and promise to our people. In our continued quest to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state, the mineral and petroleum sector must be a driver of industrialization and inclusive growth, while ensuring that the benefits of our natural resources are equitably distributed among all South Africans. The 2025 State of the Nation address underscored this imperative, and this budget vote aligns squarely with that vision. The department's strategic priorities of driving inclusive growth, reducing poverty and inequalities, and building a capable, ethical, developmental state are aspirational and actionable promises as reflected in the 2025-2026 budget allocation. Honorable Chair, the mining and petroleum sectors remain a bedrock of our economy, contributing 6% of the GDP and with a total turnover of over 1 trillion rands for the year 2024. Mining is a significant sector in the South African economy. However, its potential extends far beyond mere extraction. It is the hope of communities for change and economic empowerment. As we partake in this debate, we must be committed to leveraging this sector to foster industrialization through mineral beneficiation. ensuring that we realize the actual value of our ore before exporting the raw minerals. Honorable members, minerals and petroleum regulation stands at the heart of the department's mission, aiming to regulate the mining and petroleum sectors in a way that drives economic growth and advances transformation. The 23 targets set for 2025-2026 are ambitious, but very necessary. Enabling 10,000 jobs through mining rights and 1,200 through petroleum licenses is a commitment to livelihoods. Prioritizing historically disadvantaged South Africans with 200 rights and permits and financially supporting women and small-scale miners shows a tangible push for inclusivity. We must ensure that every inspection, whether for environmental compliance or social labor plans, translates into real accountability. Sealing 40 unsafe shafts and rehabilitating derelict mines is critical to protecting communities, while the new mining cadastral system must deliver on its promise of transparency. Once the Cabinet approves the Petroleum Sector Development Plan, it could unlock investment in refining capacity, which would be a key step towards energy security. We welcome the department's commitment to operationalizing 2 additional refineries by 2030, bolstering our energy security and creating thousands of jobs. However, the delay in lifting the shale gas moratorium, Minister, a decision resting with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, poses a significant risk to addressing the impending gas cliff. We urge a swift resolution, as shale gas could be a game changer for our energy mix and industrial development. I would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the Upstream Petroleum Development Act in addressing the historic injustices of the past by providing active participation of historically disadvantaged South Africans in direct terms. In building the South Africa we envision, our petroleum sector should always have the best interest of our people at heart. As the custodian of South Africa's fuel resilience, SANPEC has a duty to ensure uninterrupted supply through strategic stock management and providing a security of liquid fuels supply. The Central Energy Fund's group restructuring in light of the emergence of the South African National Petroleum Company must be supported. The delays in enabling legislation, which is the SANPEC bill, are stifling progress. SANPEC cannot thrive without SANPEC Act. As the ANC, we recognize that the department's strength lies in its entities' capabilities, and among others, the Council for Geoscience has made groundbreaking strides in mapping our minerals and energy resources. This is evident through identifying 8 trillion cubic feet of shale gas potential in the Karoo.
Honorable Maglaule, just hold on for a moment. Please take a seat there. Honorable member, why do you want to be recognized?
Ngicela nivuse ubaba uNgungubela uyolimala the way alele ngakhona. Somebody must wake him up. He's going to be injured, honestly.
No, that's not a point of order. Maybe. No. Yeah, no order, honourable members. I'm quite sure there's some colleagues who will assist. Honourable Maglaule, continue.
Chair, that being said, funding constraints hinder its ability to address critical challenges like dolomite risk and flood disasters, and we believe that the discussion with Treasury about the funding of CGS is highly necessary, Minister. Similarly, Mintech's pioneering work with rare earth extraction from coal waste could revolutionize small-scale mining and local beneficiation. This is particularly critical as the Critical Minerals and Metals Strategy of South Africa 2025 identifies coal as a critical mineral. This budget vote must therefore be a call for action to capacitate these entities fully, ensuring they have the resources to deliver on their mandate. This budget vote is a firm testament to the ANC's unwavering commitment to a transformed and sustainable mineral and petroleum sector. We see the department's program from revitalizing smelters to promoting local beneficiation and initiatives as key and strategic drivers for change and economic growth.
Thank you,
very much.
Honorable Maglaule. Honorable Selepe.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, the MK Party rises to reject the Department of Minerals and Petroleum Resources annual performance plan and budget of 2025-2026 as material compliance masquerading a transformation. We say so not from the sideline, but as participant in the committee process compelled by co-science to dissent from a party that sustained a colonial continuity. Let us start with Program 1. Administration. This department congratulates itself for having no new fruitless expenditure. But is that now an achievement? This is the lowest possible bar in the constitutional democracy. The real scandal is that we are digitizing a system that still reflects the apartheid era frameworks. No amount of sleek IT platform can disguise the fact that the licensing regime still protects the same old elites. We were promised transformation, not digitize dispossession. Program 2, the Mineral and Petroleum Regulation expose a brutal truth that department is the gatekeeper of mineral wealth, not a redistributor. Only 200 mining rights were issued to the historical disadvantaged South Africans in the sea of thousands. That is not redress. That is a racial window dressing. And what is worse, just 3 small-scale miners and 3 women were financially supported in the country crying out for grassroots beneficiation. This is not a developmental state. It is a neo-colonial administration and statistic to hide exclusion. In Program 3, workers are expected to find comfort in safety workshop and vacuum targets while they continue to die underground. Where is the justice for the widows? Where is the prosecution for the corporate killers? Where is the community protection against the blasting and the water poisoning? There is no real commitment to workers' power. Only routine inspection and the bureaucratic reporting while pain multiplies in our mining towns. Program 4, policy development. Here we are told that bills are being drafted, but to what end? Are they radically to do the reflect custodianship of minerals by the people? The state and our traditional leaders? No. The tinker and the margins, while the capital still calls the shots. Investment, promotion, events, foreign agreements are prioritized. While the voices of our own mining-affected communities are sidelined. This is not transformation. This is a maintenance of a minerals apartheid. House Chairperson, the Portfolio Committee recommendations are also unambitious and timed. Yes, we are participating in crafting them, but we are now declare we do not endorse their ideological conservatism. The committee asks for a smelter plan, but does not insist in being public-led. It wants an update on a shale gas, but says nothing about the Kari community facing water loss and ecological destruction. It requests fuel testing kit but ignores the systematic corruption in fuel imports and licensing. It tasks that Alexco be integrated, but says nothing about the betrayal of the richest failed people who were robbed of the restitution through the elite capture. This brings me, Honorable House Chair, to one of the most disturbing realities, that the rampant corruption in our state-owned entities, especially Petro SA. This entity, once a cornerstone of our energy sovereignty, has been guarded by the tender syndicates and backdoor deals. The controversial appointment of NACO Energy without proper transparency represent the state surrendering our strategic fuel interest to shadow corporate networks. Where is the forensic report? Where are the consequences? The MK party demands the answers, not silence. We will not allow Petro SA to become another ESCOM captured, collapsed, and sold to the private hands. House Chair, we do not oppose for the sake of drama. We oppose because we carry the people's mandate and demand for the land expropriation without compensation, for the state's tradition custodianship of minerals and the worker-owned community benefiting enterprises. This APP and committee report fails to mandate. They reflect caution, not courage, reform, not revolution. We therefore reject this plan and call on this House to recommit to a genuine break with a colonial mineral energy complex. The wealth beneath our soil must serve the people, not enslave them. The MK party stands for the sovereign, transformed, and justice-driven mineral regime. Let us rise to the historical task. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Zondi.
Thank you, House Chair. The Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources, as the name suggests, has two equally important branches, mining and petroleum. For the purposes of debate of Budget Vote 34, I'll confine myself to the neglected petroleum wing of this department, whose systematic neglect, amongst other factors, has resulted in South Africa being a net importer of petroleum products. The Minister in 2020 announced the department's plan for the formation of a new state-owned super company, the South African National Petroleum Company. This company would be formed by merging three state-owned entities, namely iGas, Petro SA, and the Strategic Fuel Fund. The enabling legislation for the formation of this new company, the SANPAC bill, has not yet been passed. In fact, it hasn't even made it to Parliament. But the Minister has put the cart before the horse and commissioned the launch of the company. The company is formed using the lease and assign mechanism. This mechanism enables it to selectively lease viable assets from the three merging entities and assign some of the workforce from these entities. Let me be clear. This is akin to hollowing out these entities and leaving shells behind, as all of the economical assets will be taken over by SANPAC, leaving behind non-viable legacy assets, which will further accelerate the fall of legacy entities, especially in the case of Petro SA. South Africa does not need another failed superstate company. The government needs to ensure Petro SA is financially viable instead of abandoning it for the next shiny thing. Petro SA has creditors who, in line with Section 34 of the Insolvency Act, need to be alerted in the case of any reassignment of its assets to give them the opportunity to claim any outstanding debts. We therefore ask, under the lease and assign model, have these creditors been alerted and made aware that the entity that owes them, Petro SA, is to be disemboweled and left as a shell in what is to be called Legacy Petro SA? Petro SA, as it stands, is near collapse. It is only commercially viable due to selling diesel to ESCOM at suspected hyperinflated rate. I say suspected because Petro SA and the Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources refuse to disclose how much Petro SA charges Eskom for diesel. This cannot and should not be allowed in a constitutional democracy with Parliament mandated to perform oversight over the executive. We call on the Minister in Petro SA to share with the public how much Petro SA charges Eskom for diesel. It is very clear that Petro SA is only surviving by cannibalizing another state-owned entity in the form of Eskom. The Minister understands this, which is why it came as no surprise when Eskom's wholesale diesel license application was denied by the department. The license would enable Eskom to procure and import diesel fuel, saving an estimated 4 billion rands annually and collapsing Petro SA's current business model as the middleman. Petro SA, however, has not always been this opportunistic diesel wholesaler. In fact, in 1992, South Africa began operating the first gas-to-liquid refinery, the trailblazing Moss Gas Refinery, today referred to as the Petro SA Refinery. The refinery at the height of its operation employed more than 2,000 employees, producing 36,000 barrels of oil per day. It was an important economic artery for the town of Mossel Bay and South Africa as a whole. The Petro SA refinery would unfortunately be put under care and maintenance in 2020 due to the depletion of the natural gas feedstock required to help to keep the refinery commercially viable. Petro SA, and by extension, the Minister, as the chief shareholder, had failed to adequately plan for the future of this once iconic refinery. The cabinet in December 2023 would then announce that Russia's Gazprom Bank Africa had been selected to restart the mothballed refinery in a 3.7 billion rand deal. This deal with a sanctioned bank inevitably failed, with Gazprom Bank Africa failing to provide the capital required to restart the project. Petro SA and the Minister had once again failed to secure the future of the Petro SA refinery. Petro SA must now terminate this deal with Gazprom Bank Africa and re-advertise tender 0001 of 2023 to restart the Petro SA refinery. This would allow the department an opportunity to find a reliable partner with access to the required capital to fund this important project. The department's commitment to have the Petro SA refinery as well as the Sandpack refinery operational by 2030 is ambitious at best, but with no solid plan cannot be taken seriously. South Africa's refining capacity remains at an all-time low with only 3 functional refineries out of 6. The remaining 3 refineries are also under significant pressure with the Clean Fuels 2 deadline of July 2027 fast approaching. We call for the government to effectively monitor the progress of these 3 refineries in meeting the Clean Fuels 2 deadline and ensuring energy security for the country. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, we must hold the department accountable, demand transparency, and work collaboratively to secure the future of our petroleum sector. Let us not allow the South African petroleum sector to become a cautionary tale of missed opportunities and failed ideals. Instead, let us strive for a future where South Africa is not just energy secure, but a leader in the petroleum industry. I thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is the Honourable Mhlongo.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me take this opportunity to greet the Commander-in-Chief and the President of the EFF, President Julius Malema, commissars, members, volunteers, and voters of the economic freedom fighters and the people of South Africa. We stand here today to reject the proposed budget vote for minerals and petroleum under the government of neoliberal unity, a government of mistrust, threats, and divisions. We do so for the following reasons, and we want to make it clear. In this budget, there is no immediate solution to the problem of mine worker safety. One will expect that with all his experience as a former mine worker and a unionist, the minister will have resolved the challenge of mine safety. But under his watch, just a month ago, more than 260 mine workers were trapped in a gold mine for over 24 hours. We were all reminded that even to this day, mine workers still die at work. More than 42 workers died in what is referred to as legal mining, and in illegal mining, 78 people lost their lives, Minister. There is no solution in this budget to deal with the contaminated fuel. There's nothing this government is doing to protect motorists. Many have had their cars break down because of preventable thievery that is allowed to persist because powerful politicians like the minister benefit from it. This minister and his department are simply folding their arms. House Chairperson, there is no solution in this project to resolve the crisis of unregistered mines. Many of these mines are active, but we do not know who owns them. Those on record as owners have abandoned them without fulfilling their legal obligation to rehabilitate the land. These abandoned mines are killing people daily, and there's no solution in this budget. For these reasons, we will not support the proposed budget. We have called as the EFF for more mining inspectors to prevent mining companies from cutting corners at the expense of mine workers, the environment, and our economy. Let's turn to the entities under this department, beginning with Petro SA. It appears there's a deliberate effort to collapse Petro SA. The entity continues to exist while being financially unstable and riddled with operational efficiencies. All of this is known, yet there is no intervention to resolve it. Mindtech and the Council for Geoscience are supposed to be at the forefront of research and development in the field of mining and geoscience, but these entities are starved of funding. We are hopeful that with a new online system, permits will be issued more quickly and effectively to the correct owner and for the correct mineral. In conclusion, House Chairperson, we are beginning to see other nations in the Sahel region use their mineral resources and natural endowments for the benefit of their people. Take, for example, Captain Traore in Burkina Faso is using the country's gold reserves to build roads, electrify communities, and construct clinics and schools. Many will follow in the footsteps of the people of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, taking control of their mineral resources while we continue to exist under neo-colonialism and Western imperialism. Truth be told, we are not different from the DRC, which has just sold their minerals to the United States, perpetuating colonization. This is who we are. It is the only reason why we have the largest platinum reserves in the world, yet the people of Marikana do not have water. Since the enactment of the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act, which came into effect in May 2004, South Africa has not passed any truly transformative legislation to give the people, particularly black people, real access to and benefit from the economy's mineral wealth. There is still no clarity on how we will move towards beneficiation because the president and his cronies continue to benefit from the crumbs. It is only when we nationalize strategic mineral resources, beneficiate our communities, and produce final goods here while creating jobs that will ensure the people share in the country's wealth, the minerals beneath the soil. Until then, the EFF rejects the proposed budget for mineral and petroleum.
Thank you. The next speaker is also Honorable Mhlongo.
Honorable Chairperson, from the discovery of gold and diamond that transformed the country's economic landscape to the continued extraction of strategic mineral critical for global industries, the mining sector continues to play a vital role in driving growth, employment, and development in South Africa. However, despite South Africa's abundant natural endorsement of mineral wealth, it remains the most unequal country in the world. The benefits of the vast resource base have not translated into shared property for the majority of the population. Instead, historical patterns of exclusion, compounded by weak governance, limited beneficiation, and structural inequality, have meant that wealth continues to be concentrated in the lands of a few, while millions remain trapped in poverty. With the being said, the IFP supports the budget, and as it signals steps taken to rectify the historic injustice of South African citizens not benefiting from their own cultural natural resources. We also welcome the department's effort to prioritize and support women in the traditional male-dominated industry. However, While we acknowledge this commitment, we are concerned that the target of supporting only 3 women small-scale miners does not reflect the agency of scale of transformation that is required. Furthermore, we welcome the strategic goal of creating 10,000 jobs through the issuing of mine rights. Given the persistent high unemployment rate in the country, the IFP will closely monitor the implementation of and outcome of this target. We will also remain vigilant in tracking the target of issue of 200 rights and permits to entities controlled by historical disadvantaged South Africans, including the individuals. Lastly, the health and safety of mine workers is of paramount importance. The IFP welcomes the department's commitment to submitting an annual mine health and safety report to Parliament and will ensure that this report receives the attention it deserves. The IFP support this budget vote. I thank you.
Thank you. Is there a speaker representing the PA in this debate? If not, then I recognize the Honourable Dr. Boshoff.
Thank you, Honourable House Chair. And I checked the translation services is working, so I'm proceeding in Afrikaans. Die Departement van Minerale en Petroleum Hulpbronne is eintlik die versorger, die custodian in goeie Afrikaans van die minerale en energiekompleks wat eintlik die hoeksteen is van die hele Suid-Afrikaanse ekonomie, nie net van die hele Suid-Afrikaanse ekonomie nie, eintlik van die hele Suid-Afrikaanse staat. Die staat van Suid-Afrika sou nie gelyk het vandag soos hy lyk, as dit nie vir die aard van ons mynbou-ekonomie is nie. En dit gaan oor 2 dinge. Aan die een kant 'n geweldige oorvloed van delfstowwe, uiters waardevol. Aan die ander kant glad nie maklik om by uit te kom nie. Duur, kapitaalintensief om te ontgin en ook baie arbeidsintensief. En dit het die hele geaardheid van Suid-Afrika ten diepste bepaal, selfs voor die staat in 1910 tot stand gekom het. Nou het hierdie departement 'n taak wat in die begrotingsdokument staan en dit sê om mynbou te reguleer vir alle Suid-Afrikaners. Dit is belangrik. Dit is ongelooflik belangrik in so 'n gevaarlike omgewing en 'n bedryf wat soveel besoedeling en sterftes kan veroorsaak dat daar 'n goeie regulering is. Dis net jammer, daar is nie goeie regulering nie. En daarom dat ons riviere baie besoedel is en as 'n mens kyk veral na die steenkoolvelde, dat daar 'n toename is in besoedeling en onvoldoende gehalte toepassing in wat aangaan. Met die mees skriende voorbeeld nou onlangs die Messina Makado spesiale ekonomiese sone waar eksplorasie vir steenkool ongehinderd voortgegaan het en baie bedreigde inheemse bos vernietig het in die proses. Hierdie departement saam met die departement van omgewingsake moes dit daarom kon keer. Maar die departement reguleer nie net nie, hy doen ook besigheid. Die Suid-Afrikaanse nasionale Petroleum maatskappy wat nou Petro SA moet vervang. En julle in 'n paar ander instansies by hom insluit. Dit skep nog 'n probleem. Dis nie die mandaat van hierdie departement om besigheid te doen nie. Die waarheid dit doen hy dit ook nie baie goed nie. Petro SA het nie 'n goeie geskiedenis nie.
Chairperson, sorry, there is no translation. Is it possible to ask the member in the last minute to just summarize in English? We really love his talk.
Honourable Mabata, I'm hearing other members making use of the translation. So it's quite clear it is there. And I'm not in a position to prescribe to Dr. Boshoff to give you a translation, but I'm quite sure he will be able to have a discussion with you outside of the chamber afterwards. Dr. Boshoff, please continue.
Thank you, Chair. I'll proceed in English. It's just a little bit difficult. National Petroleum Company is doing business, is going to start doing business, and we'll see what happens to that. The problem is that the mining companies in South Africa during the last decade or two financialized and internationalized, which is actually just another way to say it disinvested from mining in South Africa. That's what it comes to. And it's because policy does not enhance business circumstances for those companies to keep on with their business, so they just pull out and use their assets in another way. And then when we come to shale gas, which is important to me as a resident of the Karoo, the problem is, in fact, that the Karoo is such a sensitive area that the track record of mining in South Africa is not such that we want to leave the future of the Karoo, of the present sustainable use of that part of the country, in the hands of this department. We simply don't have that trust. I thank you.
Dankie. The next speaker is the Honourable James. Honourable James, while you're coming here, Honourable Blose, why do you want to be recognised?
Yeah, no, thanks, Chair. Just before the member starts, Chair, I just want us to register the censure of the Patriotic Alliance in all these budget votes. Ever since they started, they've been absent. It's this problem of giving them up and power, then they don't come to work. So that thing must be registered, Chair. For the PA is extorting South Africans, taking salaries and not coming to work. No, Chair, it's wrong.
No, Honourable Member, we're not taking decisions in these mini debates. You can take that argument out there to South Africans. Honourable James, please continue.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Honourable Chairperson, Action SA will not support this budget vote. Without hesitation, without compromise, and unapologetically so. We took this principled stance the day we entered this House, and we take it again today, because no government with a shred of morality can continue to allocate billions to a department when they are decomposing bodies. Bodies of Petty Nkombule, Yvonne Nisi, and Solomon Nrienda remain trapped beneath the ground at Lily Mine, in case you've forgotten. We are not like the DA, who only last week miraculously discovered that they have a conscience and began voting against elected budgets. We do not pick and choose moments of principle depending on political expediency. Our resolve has been consistent. We vote no, because these families deserve justice. They deserve better. They deserve closure. Let us be clear, this budget is not just a financial document. It is a declaration that this government refuses to care for its people, our people, unless cameras are rolling and headlines are at stake. When our people, the people of this country, die underground, the GNU offers silence, shrugs and smirks. But when illegal foreign nationals, Zamazamas, loot and destroy our mineral wealth in Stilfontein, suddenly the department finds every available resources. Helicopters are all over the place, are scrambled. Tactical units are deployed. Why? Because the GNU governs for cameras. Minister Mantashe, our 60-day deadline ends this week on the 6th of July. But as we have come to expect, you have neither acknowledged our correspondence, nor, sir, have you lifted a finger. It is very sad. You and your department have displayed the worst kind of lethargy, the lethargy of indifference in the face of human suffering. Imagine. Right now, there are families to date that are still camping at the site of the Lily Mine disaster in this cold, clinging to hope of a miracle. They sleep on the ground, they cook over open fires, they wait and wait and wait while you do nothing. This is not just incompetence, this is cruelty dressed in bureaucracy. Minister, your department is complicit in a cover-up of human lives lost to negligence. Every cent spent under this vote is stained with pain and blood of the Nkambule, Mnisi, and Nrende families. This is a shameful failure and dishonors not just the dead, but the families and our nation. Action SA, ons sal nooit vote vir die budget nie. Not until there's credible, funded, and time-bounded plan to retrieve these bodies and bring closure to grieving families. This is not too much to ask. This is a bare minimum of decency, Minister. We vote no, ek gaan dit weer sê. We vote no until you put people before paper. I thank you.
The next speaker is the Honourable Deputy Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources.
House Chairperson, Minister of Mineral Petroleum Resources, Mr. Kwete Mandashe, Chairperson of Portfolio Committee, Honorable Mikateko Mhlaul, honorable members, distinguished guests, members of the media. It is with a great sense of joy and pride to be participating in this important sitting. This is our opportunity as a department to outline our plans for the current financial year and their financial implications, but most importantly, to report back on the work have done during the previous financial year. The Minister has succinctly outlined strategic priorities of this newly configured Department of Minerals and Petroleum Resources and the allocation of funds of the specific programs of the department and its entities. House Chair, allow me to briefly report back on the work we have done during the course of the previous financial year, which was centered around 3 strategic priorities of government that were outlined by the President Cyril Ramaphosa in his opening address, namely driving inclusive economic growth and job creation, reducing poverty and tackling high cost of living, as well as building a capable and ethical and developmental state. Honorable members, building on the success of the 6th administration, where at least 8 of 11 state-owned that were reporting to the Eastwell Department of Honorable members, building on the success of the 6th administration, where at least 8 of 11 state-owned that were reporting on the Eastwell Department of Mineral Resources and Energy obtained either a clean or unqualified audit outcome in 2023 and 2024 financial year. Our concerted efforts that are aimed at building a capable, ethical, and developmental state resulted in an entities reporting to the department obtaining either a clean or unqualified audits. Of these entities, at least 7 are currently reporting to DMRP, including Alesco, which is an additional entity that was transferred from the Eastwell Department of Public Enterprise to the Department of Mineral Resources. This is a clear demonstration that where there is a sharp focus and good governance, both operational and financial risk will be kept on their bare minimum, if not completely eliminated. In cognizance of these dangers associated with derelicts and ownerless mine, MINTEC has made a significant strides in addressing these pressing issues. The derelicts and ownerless mine rehabilitation program has gone beyond the rehabilitation to include the closure of hazardous opening, including the old shafts and opening created by illegal mining activities. Given the additional funding of 180 million for the derelicts and ownerless mine rehabilitation program during the previous financial year, I can report to you that MINTEC has successfully rehabilitated at least 4 asbestos mines in Limpopo and Northern Cape and closed a total of 280 mines openings. These efforts have not only led to improvement in environmental and health outcome, but have also provided a positive economic impact. On an average, each rehabilitation site has created 60 jobs opportunities for local community members, contributing to the local economic growth. Honorable members, if we were to address the legacy of derelict and ownerless mines across the country and contribute to the safer and healthier environment, much more work remains to be done. Hence, we are welcoming the additional funding for this program during this current financial year. Following the enactment of the Artisanal and Small-Scale Mining Policy 2022, Mintech, in partnership with Mining Qualifications Authority, has made a notable progress in supporting aspirant artisanal and small-scale miners by empowering them with the expertise required to participate in the mining industry through the skills training programs. By the end of previous financial year, at least 300 learners across the country have been equipped with valuable skills for a career in mining. This initiative exemplified our commitment to fostering inclusive economic growth, gender equality, social empowerment, and in mining sector. Given the fact that coal will continue to play a strategic role in ensuring energy security and sustaining economic growth, the Council of Geoscience has made a tremendous progress on the characterization of geological sites of the permanent storage of carbon dioxide. Focusing on Mpumalanga as a pilot site, the carbon capture, storage, and utilization project has outlined the preliminary findings on the sustainable to store carbon in a safer manner. Further research on the capture and utilization aspects of carbon will continue, as well as how could we relate the establishment of carbon trading markets in South Africa. To realize this ambition, a collective approach by all social partners, government and business, in particular coal miners, will be greatly required. House Chair, despite the long history of diamond mining in South Africa, the diamond sector is facing a myriad of challenges which threaten its much-needed contributions to the inclusive economic growth. The tough competition from lab-grown diamond, economic, geopolitical tasks, access to finance to emerging beneficiation businesses, and the decline in production of DPS Venetia mine are among the major challenges that are confronting the industry. To ensure resilience and competitiveness of South Africa's diamond trade, the South African Diamond and Precious Metals Regulator will implement a turnaround strategy that integrates digital technologies to enhance trade efficiency, transparency, and accessibility. To this end, funding has been allocated to ensure a successful implementation of this strategic initiative, including the promotion of natural diamond through effective marketing such as Diamond Show, which was hosted by States Diamond Trader in February this year. As part of government concerted efforts to ensure that every mine worker returns home unharmed every day, the department and the Mine Health and Safety Council hosted a tripartite summit in October 2024, where stakeholders adopted new milestones that will contribute to the mining sector, ultimately achieving the goal of zero harm. The milestone includes initiatives to enhance the health, safety, and security of women in mining. Furthermore, the department gazetted guidance notes for the management of gender-based violence and femicide. These guidance notes set out the roles and responsibilities of various persons involved in the process to ensure GBV, safety, and security challenges for women in mining are improved. The 42 fatalities recorded in 2024, which was the lowest record of the history of mining in South Africa, and the decrease in occupational injuries is a clear demonstration that through collaboration, we will attain the goal of zero harm sooner than we can ever imagine. I thank you.
We now invite the Honorable Thring.
Honorable House Chairperson, the ACDP notes that this department had an adjusted budget of some 8.9 billion for the 24-25 financial year, spending about 8.8 billion by the end of the fourth quarter, or 99.4% of their total budget. What is unacceptable is that the non-financial performance information of the Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources was not readily accessible to enable a scrutiny of the budget against the outcome of performance targets. This limits our oversight when considering the performance of the department against spending. The ACDP notes the department's allocation of some 2.86 billion with a focus on mine health, safety, regulatory oversight, and policy development. The question, however, begs, does this budget reflect the urgency of our mineral sector's stagnation, shrinking by 2.8% year-on-year in March, following a 9.7% plunge in February? Or does it reflect the slothful movement caused by red tape? House Chairperson, S&P Global warned that growth in South Africa's economy will be limited by both exogenous and endogenous threats, including slowing demand from China for key commodities. The ACDP cautions, as we have done previously, that a failure to implement constructive structural reforms in the mining sector is an invitation for economic suicide. We have consistently called for policy certainty, streamlined licensing, and a regulatory environment that attracts, not repels, investment. We express concern that the Mineral Resources Development Bill of 2025, while sounding promising, introduces ministerial consent and outdated provisions that risk micromanaging mining companies and deterring capital inflows. We support the department's critical minerals and metals strategy, identifying rare earth minerals as strategic assets. But strategy without execution is a mirage, and as champions of beneficiation and corrupt-free infrastructure development, the ACDP warns that if not implemented, we will remain exporters of raw materials and importers of missed opportunities. On mine rehabilitation, ethical stewardship must be prioritized, not just economic extraction, because the environment and financial liabilities remain long after mining operations have ceased. South Africa's mineral wealth is a curse, is not a curse, but a blessing. It's not a curse, but a blessing. And as kingdom builders, the ACDP asserts that this budget must be more than numbers, but a catalyst for transformation, investment, and dignity for the mining communities across South Africa. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Tring. We now invite the Honorable Zibi.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. Minister, it was a year ago in the other room when you said you were a sprinter for Transvaal and you were a center in rugby and that you would have the cadastral system very, very quickly. I haven't had an announcement from you, and I'm hoping that don't look at someone else, the deadline of the 30th of June has been met. And I'm hoping that when you come back to this chair, to this podium, you're going to address that issue because it relates to the main issue that I want to speak about, which is policy certainty. And I know that there are several legislative amendments that are in the offing. I think one of the most important things that we must do is to make sure that the regulatory and legislative environment is as clear and as certain as possible for a long time, so that investment decisions can be made. I think mining, rather than being a sunset industry in South Africa, is still got a significant role to play, both in economic transformation, but in the overall development of South Africa and the sub-region as a whole. Now, when rules are constantly in change, whether that is legislation or policy itself or the regulations,
it becomes difficult to make the investment valuations that investors, whether it is the PIC or any other investor from here or abroad, need to make in order to decide how much money to put into mining in South Africa. And those investments are sorely needed. The second part of the uncertainty that I want to talk about relates to other portfolios, such as infrastructure, in particular rail, what is soon going to be the next load shedding. And these are interlinked with mining. And I think it is important for Parliament, other portfolio committees, and the House in general to make sure that each of the APPs in the different portfolios move in tandem in order to support critical departments such as the Department of Mineral Resources in attracting investment, creating employment, and creating a better life for South Africans. The final thing I want to talk about, it relates to the social and labor plan regime. I know that mining companies now can combine efforts, so at least they're going to be able to combine efforts, but I still argue that mining companies are really bad executors of development. They don't do it right, they don't have the capacity, and I really think we need to consider the concept of local taxes where you've got mineral endowments. But then that demands that we fix municipalities so that that revenue that they receive from mining companies can go directly to development in line with government's own mandate. I thank you.
Thank you. We now invite the honorable members. We now invite the Honorable Mfokeng, and this is her maiden speech. And as in tradition with your maiden speech, can we afford her the appropriate decorum?
Thank you, House Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Honorable Deputy Minister, honorable members, and fellow South Africans. As a nation, we now face a crucial moment where opportunity and responsibility meet as we consider the budget. Our vision for the mining and petroleum sector is to transform the lives of people with a mandate to uplift mining communities and ensure that the wealth beneath our soil becomes a means of prosperity for all. Our task is to present a budget that embodies our unshakable commitment to transformation and economic growth. Transformation begins with representation. While we celebrate the mining sector's progression, the continued economic impact, we must confront the reality that a vast majority of our young people remain unemployed. One of the key imperatives of the State of the Nation address is to drive inclusive growth and job creation. We remain committed and focused on this cause as the African National Congress. We understand the importance of multi-stakeholder engagement in ensuring that the mining sector plays a part in realizing national development goals that are aligned with the MTDP. Program 3, Honorable House Chair, the Mine Health and Safety Inspectorate is critical in safeguarding the well-being of mine workers and all individuals affected by mining operations. This program is allocated 239 million for the 2025-2026 financial year, and the department has outlined 9 key performance targets to strengthen oversight and accountability in the sector. The program also commits to maintaining 80% compliance in administering government certificate of competency exams, which is crucial for ensuring qualified personnel in high-risk mining environments. These targets reflect a balanced approach between proactive inspections, timely dispute resolution, and capacity-building initiatives. As we engage with these objectives, we emphasize the need for rigorous enforcement, adequate resourcing, and collaboration with industry and labor representatives to reduce fatalities, injuries, and occupational diseases. The success of this program hinges on its ability to translate policy into tangible safety improvements, ensuring that South Africa's mining sector operates responsibly. We look forward to working with the department to strengthen these efforts, advocating for transparent reporting, swift corrective actions, and sustained investment in mine safety infrastructure to protect workers and communities. We must also acknowledge the progress made in the sector's mine health and safety aspect. This is a cornerstone of the transformative agenda. Mine workers' safety must always be prioritized. The Mine Health and Safety Council has reported that 2024 was the safest year in our mining history. A remarkable achievement compared to the days when fatalities numbered in the hundreds annually. Today, the sector employs 76,000 women, up from a mere 11,000 in 2002. Honorable members, these strides are commendable, but we cannot become complacent. The recent fatalities at Harmony Gold reminds us that vigilance is paramount, and above all else, mine health and safety will remain being an ongoing process. The department's allocation of 239 million to the Mine Health and Safety Inspectorate underscores our resolve to ensure that every miner returns home safely. Administrative work. The oversight conducted by the Portfolio Committee on Minerals, Petroleum Resources in the 7th administration has revealed both triumphs and challenges. Implementing the cadastral system in the Western and Eastern Cape, which is set to start soon, promises to bring transparency and efficiency to licensing. Yet, the governance shortfalls at Alexco demand urgent intervention. In this administrative year, the department must act decisively to stabilize Alexco and ensure it fulfills its role in the Richtersveld community. The department's collaboration with the IDC to revitalize smelters must include community equity stakes, ensuring that workers and locals benefit directly. Furthermore, the delays in transferring Alexander Bay Township to the Richtersveld municipality exemplify how bureaucratic inertia perpetuates inequality. This must be resolved immediately. Industry observations. Illegal mining and fuel arbitration remain persistent threat to our sector's integrity. This is in light of the recent allegations against Petro SA for the very practice. The proposal to deploy mobile fuel testing kits akin to SAR's successful model is a pragmatic solution to curb fuel fraud and protect consumers. These measures and the finalization of key sector legislation will reinforce the regulatory framework needed for a thriving sector. Illegal mining is a symptom of systemic neglect. Rehabilitative efforts that are envisioned by the department and that are proposed by interested parties should find expression, and we must continuously work together to ensure that we mine sustainably. Honorable members, in commemorating the Freedom Charter, we continue to echo the fact that the people shall govern. This budget vote is our chance to honor the legacy by ensuring that the mining and petroleum sectors become vehicles of empowerment, not centers of exclusion. The ANC supports this budget vote and pledges to play an active role in its continued monitoring and evaluation. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. We now invite the Honorable Zungula.
Thank you, Chairperson. We are a nation that is rich in mineral resources, that is powering global economies and driving the future, from platinum group metals to manganese, nickel, rare earth elements, and critical minerals. These are the very resources the world is chasing to build electric vehicles, produce batteries, and transition to clean energy. Yet this blessing has become a curse. While our land overflows with wealth, our people remain poor. We dig, we ship, and we watch the real value sail away. Why are we fueling the economies of other countries, yet ours remain stuck in poverty and unemployment? We are at the top of the list in unemployment, yet we export the very minerals that would create jobs and reduce poverty in our country. In 2023 alone, South Africa exported over 781 billion worth of minerals. That is not partnership, it is a power imbalance. We cannot continue handing over our minerals for others to industrialize while we remain deindustrialized. They say colonization ended, but it returned wearing a different face. Today, it lives in contracts, markets, value chains that we do not control. We export raw value and import finished wealth. That is not development, it is economic colonization. Before we fix other people's economies, let us fix our own. Studies show that if we beneficiate our platinum group metals, we could create over 1 million new jobs and grow the economy by 8 trillion by 2050. Refined minerals are worth 20 times more than the raw ones, yet we continue to export potential and import solutions. Indonesia banned raw nickel exports to build their own battery industry. Today, they are a global leader in the electric vehicle supply chain. Other countries align their education with their economies. They train engineers, designers who turn raw materials into real industries. We must do the same. Let our schools and training centers speak to the wealth under our feet. Minister, we stand at a crossroads. Will we continue to dig and export while our people stay behind? Or will we finally say no more? Will we let other nations grow rich of our resources? Or will we use them to build factories, create jobs, train our youth, and grow strong industries right here at home? The minerals are ours, the opportunity is ours, the responsibility to act is ours. Let us stop exporting our future. Let us refine it here. Let us build it here. Let us prosper here. We do not support this budget. Thank you.
We now invite the Honorable Lorimer.
Madam Chair, taken on its own terms, this budget passes muster. It will get the job done. But what job? Has that job been successful in using mining to the best advantage in earning wealth for South Africa and our people? The terms are primarily engineering race-based ownership and racial advantage. In that, it has been moderately successful. The problem is, in doing so, it has limited investment and constrained growth, and has negated the advantages that mining could have brought to the project of getting millions of poor South Africans out of poverty. The mining sector continues to underperform. Mining is in recession at the moment. It's less profitable now than it has been for the past 5 years. Real mining GDP has declined in 8 of the last 13 quarters. South African mining achieved the dubious distinction of being one of the few in the world that managed to shrink at the time of the global resources boom in the early 2000s. The DA's description of our mining industry has always been that it is governed by poor policy that is poorly implemented. This budget will not change that. It is a source of endless frustration that the inefficiencies and probable corruption in the department's regional offices are never addressed. The crime lacks complainants, as those offended against will only whisper their complaints. They know if they complain in public, they will be punished by the slow walking or outright denial of licenses and permissions from a department that is more intent on defending the ANC than it is on building a successful and profitable industry that will grow the number of jobs and the wealth of the country. The signs of that corruption, though, are there: a system of rights allocation that has been kept in the dark, probably deliberately, through the slow rollout of the cadastral system, and another 3 months, Minister, really. Well, colour me surprised. You could have bought an off-the-shelf system and it could have been operating for a year already. You could have got it for free, too. Simply put, we know there's corruption in the licensing process. We doubt the new system will end it because the political will to do so is not there. Too many people in the ANC benefit from it. Then there's policy. Programme 4 of the department deals with the policy-making arm. But it is there that the department continues to produce failure after failure. The ANC has never met a bad idea that it does not like and continues to produce them in volume over time. The money is being spent in a way that will further cripple an industry that has declined from the introduction of the MPRDA in 2004. We've seen this in the latest iteration of the mining law, the Mineral Resources Development Bill. The minister says it's investor-friendly. Does he ever talk to any investors, I wonder? The bill proposes stiffer requirements for BEE participation. That's a major off-putting factor when it comes to investment. When you say to an investor who wants to spend 100 million on a project that right up front they have to give away 30 million of that to BEE owners who won't put up any money or share any of their risk, when you tell that investor that the government will often determine who those partners are, who can be hired, and which companies will be suppliers, even if no suppliers exist, and you have to accept the extra high pricing that comes with parasitic middlemen, and then you tell those investors that the targets may change because they've kept changing in 5 new iterations of the empowerment rules over the last 20 years, with the onerous demands on investors getting ever more onerous, that's a bad idea. The bill doesn't stop there. It demands ministerial consent for the change in shareholding of a privately held company. How long will that consent take, and who knows what will be demanded in return? That opens the way to extortion by officials who are suddenly made even more powerful. That's a bad idea. This budget approves the idea that we will cut electricity prices for smelters so we can restore some of the beneficiation we've lost in the ferrochrome industry while simultaneously taxing chrome exports. But we're still massively short of electricity. Presumably those smelters will also have to be guaranteed supply. So who's going to pay to support those subsidies? and who's going to suffer power cuts so that the smelters don't? You guessed it, the ordinary consumer, because this government thinks it's more important to be able to boast about its beneficiation credentials. Not a good idea. Beneficiation only makes sense if it makes financial sense. Where it does, we do it already. If you try and force it, you will damage the industry even further. When you propose the mine closure certificates will no longer terminate the miner's environmental liability, which could continue in perpetuity and make proper project planning impossible, that's another bad idea. We have one of the most stellar mineral endowments in the world, yet for all that, our mining industry continues to struggle. It bumps along in mediocrity, sustaining many, enriching a few, and yet unable to break out and grow exponentially, as it potentially should, because of the strange ANC notion that if your policies fail, you must intensify the policies that led to that failure. If we vote for this budget, it will be only because the alternative is much worse. So we will appeal to reason and to logic, to hope for a new direction, and for the abandonment of this confederacy of bad ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. We now invite the Honorable Senne.
Ke a leboga, House Chair. Today, as the ANC, we sat and listened to misconceptions and statements that have been uttered to sway the House decorum and derail the day's mandate. While some in the opposition speak prophecies of doom about mining's demise, shortfalls of the regulatory framework, and other conspiracies they continue to conjure up, we stand firm in our conviction and confidence in the department. This budget vote is about mining for tomorrow and not being embroiled in today's politics. The government's Critical Mineral Strategy 2025 is a crucial stride to prioritize local value addition to our minerals. This strategy aims to move South Africa beyond mere extraction to complete value chain development, further moving away from the pit to port route. These are not speculative initiatives, but concrete programs with allocated funding and measurable targets. This year's 120 million exploration fund will accelerate our critical mineral strategy and will assist in identifying and developing critical minerals essential for renewable energy technologies. The Mining, Minerals and Petroleum Policy Development Program, with a total budget allocation of 1.22 billion, serves as a policy engine driving transformation and economic growth in South Africa's mineral and petroleum sector. This program prioritizes legislative reform and strategic resources management. Honorable House Chair, legislation in the mineral and petroleum space plays a crucial role. Program 4's critical deliverables include submitting three landmark bills: the Petroleum Products Amendment Bill, Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Bill, and Diamond Amendment Bill for cabinet approval, paving the way for parliamentary processing or public consultation. The program will also address sectoral revitalization through cabinet report on smelter viability and a revival plan, while advancing energy security through biofuels pricing regulations and a draft strategic stock policy. Regulatory reform under the ANC has struck the delicate balance between attracting investment and ensuring irreversible transformation. We present an undeniable record of success to those who criticize our state-led approach to beneficiation and SOE reforms. Groundbreaking strides from the SANPEC are a testament to this. Building a resilient mining sector requires addressing both challenges and future opportunities. We endorse the 239 million investment in mine health and safety, which has produced the lowest fatality rate in history. The department's social and labor plan enforcement has delivered 132 community projects in mining areas this year alone, from clinics to vocational training centers. At the same time, we continue to encourage the department in future-proofing the sector through skills programs in automation and mineral beneficiation, ensuring mine workers' children have opportunities beyond underground labor. Our progressive position on mining and petroleum development stems from our fundamental belief that South Africa's mineral resources must serve all its people. Honorable Chair, the opposition's dismissal of state-led industrial policy indicates a lack of understanding or refusal to acknowledge the progress and tangible results of such policies. This attitude may stem from either a willful ignorance, where a factual evidence is ignored, or an ideological blindness, where preconceived beliefs prevent recognition of the policy's benefits and achievements.
You've opened the mic. Take your seat, Honourable Member. The Honourable Mbata is rising on a point of order. Can we hear your point of order?
Can the member take the question?
Switch off your mic. Switch off your mic, Mbata. Honourable Mbata. Member, are you prepared to take a question?
We are dealing with a serious matter here, Chair.
The member
No.
is not prepared to take a question. Continue, Honourable.
Whatever the case may be, it does not take away the progressive achievements of the department and their displayed commitment to change. This budget vote is significant milestone in our ongoing journey towards a stronger, more sustainable mineral and petroleum sector. The total budget allocation has been crafted to strike a balanced focus on regulation and transformation, ensuring that we have a necessary tool to build upon our previous progress while effectively addressing the remaining challenges. The ANC proudly endorses this budget as a forward-looking blueprint designed to foster an inclusive industry that can adapt to future demands and opportunities. Honorable House Chair, the ANC supports the budget vote. Ke a leboga.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Order, Honourable Members. We will now invite the Honourable Minister, Minister Mantashe, to close the debate. Honourable Members, the Deputy Minister left minutes. So the minutes of the Honourable Mbata, allow us to chair the session. The Deputy Minister did leave minutes, and those minutes will go to the Minister. Honourable Member, order. Allow us to chair the session. Honourable Minister, you may continue. Can you adjust the minutes by allocating the minutes that were left by the Deputy Minister? Yes, the 1 minute is a minute. Yes. Honourable Members, order. The minutes of the Minister have been adjusted. The Minister, you may continue.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson.
Honourable Minister, the member, are you rising on a point of order?
Point of order.
You may continue, Honourable Member.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. No, I just want to understand the issue of the minute that have left by any member of a certain organization. Is it automatic that anyone will come after will take those minutes, or is it communicated properly?
Close the mic. Honourable Member, the ministry has in total 30 minutes. And the 30 minutes is distributed between the Minister and the Deputy Minister. And any minute left remains within the executive. So in this case, the Deputy Minister left a minute. That minute is transferred to the minister. Your question has been answered, Honourable Member.
It's your workshop, le.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair. Yeah, Chair, yes, it is allowed, but it should have been arranged, not that after someone has left the minute. It should have been arranged that the time that allocated left, it should have.
Allow us to educate you. Let me educate you. It's not, there's no arrangement. The minutes of the executive remains the minutes of the executive, and there are 30. They are shared amongst the minister and the deputy minister. There's no communication. The communication is the table staff that indicates to us the minutes that are left and they get added. Honourable Member, this will not be a dialogue. Can you close your mic and let the minister continue?
Thank you very much.
We cannot argue on minutes that are allocated to the ministry, and those minutes are 30. The minister is still falling within the 30 minutes. Thank you. Honourable Minister, continue.
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. EMKP reject the budget on the basis of their discussion at home. They have not even listened to the budget, they reject it. Now, because if MKP really made an assessment, the participation of historical disadvantaged individuals in South Africa has improved dramatically in mining. This is the most transforming sector in the economy. That's why if you go to coal mining where you stay slab, every company there is run by a black company and a black management except Glencore. You can go to Asmang. You can go to Asmang, to Manganese. Now, if you go to Manganese, you will see the same progress and the consolidation of company. I want to leave that. Now, MKP is talking about a PetroSA that is captured. As ANC members, we know that PetroSA was captured under Zuma's presidency. Yes, it was. All our efforts, okay, all our efforts.
Order, honourable members. Honourable members, you are allowed to heckle, but do not drown the speaker. Do not drown the speaker. The time will be adjusted. The time will be adjusted. The time will be adjusted.
Who is running the watch?
The support. Honourable.
Who then I miss how disrupt? Who?
Honourable.
Disrupt I miss.
Honourable Minister.
Okay.
Can the
No,
time be adjusted?
Meeting. Yes. Now.
Can the time be adjusted? Honourable Member, I will not. No, it's not. It was not adjusted. It was not adjusted. Honourable members.
So
I'm the one chairing here.
So all our efforts. Okay.
Continue,
all
Honourable
our
Minister.
minis in PetroSA are aimed at salvaging it from this capture that is historical. So I don't want MKP to lecture us on that state capture because they are remnants of that state capture. Now, let me move to.
No, you are the remnant.
Okay. Now, and the EFF reject this only.
Chair, on the point of order.
On the basis of rejecting
Honourable
GNU.
Member.
That has nothing to do with the budget.
Honourable Minister.
There's nothing to do with the budget.
Honourable Minister.
So, the governing policy is not a beauty contest. It's not a beauty contest. It's a policy. Now let's go to PA. We are working on the Liliman. What are you? Better is the same. Okay. Same.
Sit down. My hand is up. Sit down. No, I'm raising a point of order. In terms of Rule 84,
Allow me to recognize you first. I am wanting to recognize you. I'm wanting to, that is why, honorable member, but I'm recognizing you. Why no? Honorable member, can you please close your mic so that I can recognize you properly? Honorable member, on what point are you rising on? I recognize you. You can see you. It's only now that you may switch on your mic.
Hey, I know that. On Rule 84, the minister doesn't maintain the decorum of this house. He continues to point at us when he's speaking. He must not show gestures. He must maintain the decorum of the house minister.
Honorable member, but you are also pointing and showing gestures. So who are you? You are also pointing and showing gestures. Honorable member, close your mic. Order, honorable members. Honorable member, I will not allow you to be raising spurious points of orders. You had an opportunity. You had an opportunity to raise a point of order. Honorable Minister, continue.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. The question of shale gas, I think we all want to put the cart before the horse. We must get regulations first, lift the moratorium, get applications, and then there will be a talk of shale gas exploration. Before that happens, we are theorizing abstract scenarios that are not based on anything. So let's have a patience of waiting for that process. I am patient with DFFE, and I will give them a chance. Once they give those regulations, I will lift the moratorium, and then we'll get applicants for shale gas exploration. I'm leaving it at that. So Lily Mine. In Lily Mine, we're working on the question of Lily Mine. The only problem is that Action SA want us to report to them as if they are the state. We are saving that. What we are not going to do, I must assure you, we are not going to allow capital to make money when there is a disaster. We want state money. We can't do that. That is the most reckless thing we can do. Take state money to save capital after they have made money and profits for years. Capital must give us the money to do the process. And we're working on that, and it's going to happen. On the question of non-financial performance, that is not disclosed. Non-financial performance is disclosed regularly in the portfolio committee. Unfortunately, we don't see ACDP in the portfolio committee regularly. So you will not see it when it is disclosed. The last thing is the SLPs. SLPs are being implemented in local mining areas and in labor sending areas. And in labor sending areas, that's what is happening. Yeah.
Honorable Minister, your
Yes.
time has expired.
Okay.
Thank you, honorable members. That concludes the debate and the business for the mini plenary session. The mini plenary will now rise.